Hey guys, it's Numa, and today we're going to be going over the Sacred Relic Dragon Saga egg machine. So a few things to note, the American version of the Twitter doesn't post this type of stuff, like where it shows all the characters, so I'm going to use the Japanese version. And about the egg machine. So this egg machine's all transformation characters, which means they're going to be pretty unique. That also means they don't have a level limit breakthrough or have a super awakening. And that also means none of these characters are going to be really too useful as a farming or ranking dungeon character. But a lot of these characters are super strong in the normal game. One more thing to note is that the percentages for this gacha or egg machine is that the 7 stars are a 10%, the 6 stars are a 28%, and the 5 stars are a 62%. So this gacha is a little risky to roll. Even though the characters are super strong, you might get a lot of the same characters around the 5-star area a lot. But anyways, let's get into it. Starting with Gregory, well, first off, he doesn't have any skill boosts on his awakenings pre-transformation. And just like Faska, I think, his skill is an 18-turn transformation skill, so it might be a little bit difficult for him to transform. His skill pre-transformation is a 10-turn Skyfall for fire and tree orbs, or wood orbs, which isn't that bad. And obviously his leader skill is not going to be that good because he's a transformation character. But let's see, after transformation, he gets 7, what's it called, 2-ways, which is pretty good. He has the same amount of 2-ways as Roche, but Roche just has much higher base attack than him. So he's not as good as Roche, but he's pretty decent, I guess. It's pretty cool that he has a skill bind too, or skill bind resist too. His HP is super high. If you put a plus 99 on him, I think he goes around the 10,000s. And his attack is a little low. It's mediocre. But his skill is pretty strong. It's a 1-turn damage piercer, or a 1-turn DVP, and a tricolor board, which has what's called a heal orb in it. So it's not that bad. And it's pretty unique because Gregory's like the only non-multi-attribute party character that has a damage piercer skill. And his leader skill is pretty strong. He has a 2 times on all stats, gets rid of all poison damage, and he gets 1 million damage for his auto FUA. His only and major drawback is that he's a physical type only leader and he's a fire type. So making a party for him is going to be really difficult. It's already difficult in the Japanese version to make a party for him, and it's not going to be any easier, especially in the American version, especially because we lack a lot of characters compared to the Japanese version. So yeah, he's going to be really hard to use for new players, but if you can form the parties, I think he could be a really strong leader and might even come in for the top 10 strongest leaders right now. Next is Dina. Dina, her awakenings, again, she doesn't have a skill boost, just like Gregory. And again, she has an 18-turn transformation skill. You're going to have a little bit of trouble, transforming when she's your leader. So you have to fill your party with a bunch of skill boosts. Her skill is, it's nice. It's just a 10-turn orb extension for 1 second. And you can transform to the post-evolution or post-transformation. And her lead skill is, again, supposed to be bad. Post-transformation Dina, though, sorry. Looking at her awakenings are pretty strong. She has 2 DVPs, 2 7Cs, an L shape, and a double killer. And again, there's no super awakening, so there's nothing added onto that, just to note. Her stats are pretty decent. Her attack stat is pretty high. Her HP is a little bit low though. For her skill is a 1-turn skill that makes 3 water orbs and locks the whole board. This skill is a lot crazier than you think it is. First off, it completely cancels out spinners. And second off, you can completely, utilize spinners to your advantage. Whenever the spinner hits the water orb, you can time your skill to lock it then. So you basically get to make 3 water orbs with your skill and an additional few water orbs with however spinners there are. So say there's 2 spinners, right? and you set it so they both hit water at the same time. That means whenever you lock the board, whenever those two spinners hit water, you can get a total of 5 water orbs formed for basically free. See, it's just really hard to explain. I'll just put a thing on the video or something that shows how to do it. But yeah, it's super powerful. Her leader skill too. It doubles your HP when you're an attack type. Has a 21 damage multiplier. That's pretty crazy. And has damage resistance. Because she's an attack type leader, she'll go extremely well with Fosca. Their only issue is that they don't have an FUA or auto FUA, which isn't super necessary, as you can just like make your own FUA because Fosca has an FUA awakening, so it shouldn't be that bad. But in the state the game is at right now, that would bring her lower down the rank for utility. But either way, having Fosca and Dina as your leaders will give you a bunch of damage output and a bunch of survivability because you get a double damage resistance. So Dina would be a super good leader. Next is Elena. For her, first off, she has a bind resistance pre-transformation. Also, she has 3 skill boosts pre-transformation, and she has a 12-turn transformation skill. This is pretty crazy. That means you don't really have to fill your parties with a bunch of skill boosts to transform her. And you can most likely just make a normal party and get her to transform first turn. Her skill pre-transformation is kind of like Kura Yuli, which isn't too useful, really, especially at the start of the game. And for leader skill, this character is not really meant for a leader, so the leader skill isn't too good. If anything, it might be good for new players because you get pretty long control time, but your HP multiplier is a bit too low and the damage output is also really low, so I wouldn't really use her. Post-transformation though, her skill or her awakenings get a lot better. She gets 2 70s, 1 DVP, which gives her a little bit of damage output. She gets cloud resistance, which is just nice, and she gets 2 heal or pluses, which is great for boosting your healing. For her stats, she has medium HP, medium attack, but her healing is pretty crazy high. And if you put some like healing, lane awakenings and plus points on her, I think you can easily get to 2,000 for healing. Her skill is completely busted. It's a 4-turn bind and awaken bind healing, or complete healing actually. And it also creates a row of wood orbs and locks those wood orbs, so you can have some help against spinners. And this is all in 4 turns. That's just busted. With this character, wood attribute parties are gonna get so much better. Just think of her as a crazy strong Odin dragon. Next is Daya. For his awakenings, it's not too amazing. I mean, it's just pre-transformation again. He doesn't have a skill boost, and his skill, again, is an 18-turn skill. So you're going to have to fill your parties with a bunch of skill boost characters. For skill, it's a 10-turn added 1 combo, so it's just nice to have, and his leader skill is weak. Post-transformation, his skill, or his awakenings are pretty crazy. It's like going all in on damage. He has 2 70s and 1 10C, which is the first combination of that we've seen, which means he has a 20 times damage multiplier, and he has a guard break. His stats, he has decent HP. Actually, it's pretty good HP. He has crazy high damage, and his healing is decent. His skill is an 8-turn DVP skill, and it halves your damage. His leader skill is a 2-time multiplier for all stats. Extend your control time by 3 seconds, and when you clear 4 colors at once, you get a 10 times multiplier and get 500,000 true damage. Unless you get like, what's it called, your board gets interrupted by just like enemies, I don't think you're ever gonna have trouble with clearing 4 colors, especially because I don't know if he's come out yet. I haven't got up to it, but you know the character Aten, he's gonna get a new evolution, which makes him an amazing partner with Daya. Because he's also a multi-attribute leader, but he's a 7/6 board leader. So you can use this leader skill on a 7/6 board. Daya is basically gonna be the savior of multi-attribute leaders. But the only issue he has is, though, he's a god type only leader, which is a little rough being a multi-attribute leader, it's gonna be hard to make parties for him, so new players are gonna have trouble using him. But if he can form his parties, he's gonna be a crazy strong leader, maybe top class right now. The next character is Airmei. For his awakenings, he has a bind resistance, and he has 2 skill boosts. So he's just like Alina. He's also similar to Alina because his skill is also 12 turns, and I forgot to mention for Alina, I think, they already have their leader skill, which doesn't matter too much because you're probably gonna be transforming first turn because you already have skill boost and a 12 turn skill. And for his skill, he has a bicolor board when he transforms, so that's pretty strong, I guess. I don't think it's gonna be too useful though, because you're usually gonna be transforming first turn. And post evolution, his awakenings are pretty strong as a sub character. I think he'll extend your control time by 2 seconds, has an immobility resistance, which is just nice, and he has 3 DPPs. He's kind of similar to Haruimaru, and his skill is pretty decent actually. It's pretty useful. Never mind. It's a 1 turn, 3 times multiplier for heal and dark type attacks, and it will lock dark orbs, so you'll have less trouble with spinners and such. His leader skill is pretty decent, I guess. It gives a 2-time multiplier for HP and attack, extend your control time by 4 seconds, and when you clear light and dark orbs at once, you get an 8 times multiplier and a added 1 combo, and this is all for dark types only. I forgot to say his stats too. His stats, he has pretty decent HP, pretty high attack, and pretty low healing. As a leader, he'll be a really good leader for new players because he just has a really easy requirement to throw out damage. You only have to clear light and dark orbs to get your max damage, and it'll add combos for you. And he also has that 4-second extended control time. That means with 1 Elmei, your party's control time will extend by a total of 6 seconds if you have Elmei as a leader. But yeah, he's not going to be too amazing as a leader late game, but you could use him instead of Phenom to make a pretty strong party. Alright, that was all for the 7 stars. Now with the 6 stars, we're starting with Elsha. For Elsha, she has 3 skill boosts on her awakenings. Her skill is a 14-turn transformation skill. Along with transformation, what it does is gives a 3-turn boost for every other character skill, which is basically just, what's his name? The Protector of the Fortress, or Guardian of the Fortress Winged Dragon from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Collab. So she's already crazy. She's basically just a water type version of him, and after you transform, her awakenings aren't that amazing. She'll boost your recovery, which is decent, I guess, and she doesn't have that amazing of a just DPS awakenings. And a pattern with a bunch of water attribute characters, they don't have a skill bind resistance awakening, which is a little bit tough. For her stats are kind of low. Her heal stat is pretty decently high, I guess. For her skill is pretty decent. It's a bicolor board that charges in 10 turns, and it'll also extend your control time, so you can override control time reducing enemies. And her leader skill isn't that amazing. She's more of a sub character. Well, overall, she's not that amazing post-transformation, like, compared to everyone else. She's just... The fact that she's basically a 6 skill boost character is pretty crazy. And she'll be used a lot in water-type transformation parties. Next is Rita. For Awakening, she has a bind resistance, and that's pretty much it. Her skill is an 18-turn skill. And what it does when you transform is makes an all-attribute board and clears all locks, which is only really useful for multi-attribute parties, really. And after you transform, for Awakening, she has 1 skill charge, 170, which is too amazing as a DPS character. She has a Jammer Plus, which is pretty great. And she has 2 control time pluses and 2 killers. So for her Awakenings aren't that bad, actually. They're pretty strong. Her stats are pretty decent. She has decent HP. She has decently high HP, actually. And she has decently high attack. And for her skill is pretty crazy strong. Because it's a 6-turn skill. And she's basically just meant for multi-attribute parties. So you can use the skill charge to loop her own skill. Or if you're able to activate it every turn, then you can loop your own skill. That means you'll get... pretty much infinite damage resistance and a 1.5 multiplier for God and balance types, which is pretty great. Her leader skill
looks not too amazing because she doesn't have a HP multiplier, but there's a character called Valentine Ideal that goes extremely well with this character. They're like made for each other. Their skills are very similar, their leader skill is very similar, and Valentine Ideal is a fire and water type, and Rita is a grass and light type. So you basically fill in 4 the needed attributes, and you can just put in some dark type in there to get all 5 attributes, but really easily. What's special about Ideo parties though is that they get a 4+ added combo, which you lose and you only get a 2+ added combo, but you also gain a 1 true damage auto FUA. So it depends on what you want. If you want more combos, then Ideo would be much better. But if you want an auto FUA, then you could use Rita. And when you use Ideo, you don't get Skyfall combos anyways. So you don't really have to worry about the no Skyfall combos on Rita either. Next is Duval. For his awakenings, he has 3 skill boosts, which is pretty great. And his skill is a 14-turn skill, so you'll probably get it first turn. And when you transform, what you get is, or you get to push the enemy's attack turns back by 3 turns. So he has a pretty similar use with Elsha and the Winged Dragon. Only if though the first character of the dungeon doesn't have one of those barrier things. Just like Grotesque Being, those characters don't have the mask, don't have any barriers, so you can just delay the turn by 3 turns. So you basically get 3 skill boosts in your party, if that makes sense. Post evolution, his awakenings, he gains a blind resistance plus, which is pretty great. But the rest of it isn't too amazing. He gets a really awkward 4 2-ways and 2 DVPs, so he's not going to be too useful for that many parties. For stats, he has decently high HP, pretty high attack, and barely any recovery. And for his skill, his skill is a 6-turn skill, but honestly, it isn't too amazing. All he does is creates a column of fire orbs and just doubles the attack of physical and dragon types. And his leader skill isn't good at all. As for his use, this character might be useful for ranking dungeons or farming, but not really. I think for his main use, he'll be mostly used for Gregory parties because of his 2-ways and his skill. But yeah, this character is probably one of the lower side of the characters. He's not bad to say, but he's also not too amazing.
Next is Sylvinia. For Awakening, she has 2 skill boosts, which is again good. And her skill is a 12-turn skill, which is short, so you'll probably be able to transform first turn. What you get with transformation is a 2-turn half damage reduction, which is just useful to have. And post-evolution, her awakenings are really DPS-centric. She has 1 DVP and 3 50% or less enhances, and she has 2 killers, so DPS-wise, she'll be pretty strong. And for stats, her HP is a little bit low, but her attack stat is pretty high. I think she can make it to 4,000s, I think, maybe. And her skill is also really good, or is an HP having skill, which is good for her. And it also creates 2 rows of dark orbs. And for leader skill, it's not a terribly bad leader skill. It's actually pretty good. It doubles devil type HP, and when your HP is less than 50%, your attack is quadrupled. And when you connect 6 dark orbs at once, your attack is quadrupled again, and you also get 1 true damage. You have a 16-time damage multiplier, a 2x HP multiplier, and 1 true damage. Her leader skill is actually pretty strong. It has a lot of potential, but I don't think it's going to outclass any of the better parts of the leaders here. But just know that she's pretty strong. I think this character is also really good for farming. The only thing you have to watch for is that she has super low healing, so you might have to put a character like Air in there to manage healing. And that was it for the 6 stars. Now to go on with the 5 stars, we're starting off with Rampage. Rampage is pretty crazy. First off, his Awakenings pre-transformation already has skill boost, so awesome. And his skill is also a 12-turn skill, so you'll probably be able to transform first turn, most likely. And what he also gets when you transform is that he pushes the enemy's attack turns 2 turns back. It's kind of just a worse Duval, but it's shorter by 2 turns. So great. So basically he has 4 skill boosts, pretty much. For his awakenings, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 row enhances and 1 poison resistance plus. So his awakenings aren't too bad for a row party. And he also extends your control time by 1 second. His stats are pretty decent. It's not too amazing. His HP isn't too high. His attack stat is pretty high, and his healing stat is pretty low. His skill is a 10-turn skill, which is a 3-turn, 3 times enhance against water attributes, and he also completely heals Awaken Bind. So you don't have to bring an Awaken Bind character into your party as a sub if you're going to use this character as a leader. And his leader skill is completely busted. It really shows how inflated this game is. This character is a 5-star, and I would rank this character on the higher side of my top 10 list. The character we were missing for a long time and never gonna get is Coco Finica in the Japanese game. But now, in the American game, we pretty much have him. This basic Coco Finica, but we're limited to attack and dragon types. But I would believe that this character could be even better than Coco Finica. But we'll get into it in a sec. For his leader skill, he gets a 2 times multiplier to all stats for attack and dragon types. And when you connect 6 orbs at once, your attack is multiplied 7 times, and you get 500,000 true damage as an auto FUA. That means you have a 2 times HP multiplier, a 14 times damage multiplier, and a 2 times healing multiplier. Now this sounds a bit average, but to note that this character has amazing combinations with the new Great Witch, Saga, which is the strongest character in the game right now. And with a combination with her, this character he's crazy. You could also use this character with Minika, but I would still recommend using Saga with him. But yeah, I think this character is a must-get, really. And especially because you can fit Dina in your party, and Dina's combination with Rampade, with Dina as a sub, is pretty crazy too. For the next character, we have Panamas. First off, for his awakenings aren't too amazing. He does have 3 skill-bind resistances, so he can make up for some characters. But he has 3 80% or higher enhances, which isn't too amazing as a DPS role because they only give a 1.5 times multiplier. But he does have a cloud resistance, which is kind of nice. His stats are a little bit low. Well, it's kind of expected because he's a 5-star. But his damage stat isn't too low, actually. It's decent. And for his skill is a 3-turn skill that gives attack types a 2.5 multiplier, and he'll transform into the next character. But I'm not going to get to that yet, because this character, basically, his whole gimmick is, once you transform to the post-transformation, his skill is another 3-turn skill that'll transform you back into this transformation. His leader skill is pretty decent. It's not too amazing. It's a 2 times HP and damage multiplier when you're wood type. And once you use a skill, your damage is doubled. And when you do 7 combos, you gain a damage resistance, and your attack is multiplied by 4 times. So basically, you have a 2 times HP multiplier, a 16 times damage multiplier, and that's it. And you get a damage reduction. Actually, not that bad when I sound it out, but it's not as amazing as the other characters in this list. Okay, so post-evolution, or post-transformation, his awakenings turn into 50% of less enhances, instead of 50% of over enhances, or 80% of over enhances. So this guy's damage output is a lot higher, but it has a different requirement, so it's a little difficult to use. This character is really going to be situational if you want to use him for damage. His stats are the complete same, and his skill is a 3-turn skill that halves damage, which is actually pretty good when you think about it. But yeah, and then he transforms back to this character, and he rinse and repeat. This character is not too amazing, like sub-wise or leader-wise, but he just looks really fun to play, actually. You're not going to be able to use your full damage every turn if you only have this guy as your skill trigger. So you might have to put in a character like TARDIS to use his skill every turn. Next is Lishelia. For Awakening, she has 2 skill boosts, which is pretty decent. And her skill is a 12-turn skill, so you'll probably be able to charge her first turn. And what it does, along with Transformation, is it reduces your damage by 35% for 4 turns. So post-transformation. Her Awakenings, she has a Jammer Resistance Plus, and she has 4 team recovery pluses, which isn't too amazing, to be honest, because leaders in this game right now will already give you, the top leaders will already give you ample amount of healing boost. Like Saga, you really don't need a healing boost there. So I think it's just a waste of slots for Awakening slots. For her stats are pretty decent. Yeah, nothing really to say there. But her skill is pretty strong. It's a 6-turn skill that heals Awaken Bind by 5 turns, and it makes a tricolor board with the Wood, Light, and Heal. And because Heal's in there, it just makes it just a little bit better. But her leader skill is pretty garbage, to be honest. Any plus shape leaders aren't too amazing in this game. You're never really going to use that in the normal game. For final 5-star, we have Polone. She has 2 skill boosts on her Awakenings, which is pretty good. And her skill is a 12-turn skill, so again, you can probably charge it on the first turn. And when she does transform, she charges everyone's skill by 2 turns. So she basically has 4 skill boosts, which is pretty great. And for her Awakenings post-transformation, they're not too amazing. It has 3 team HP pluses, which isn't too useful, really. She extends control time by 1 second. She has an FUA, but she's really support-based, but doesn't really help too much. For stats, they're decent stats, yeah. Expected from a 5-star. But her skill is crazy. There's only a few characters in the game that'll give you a damage absorption and attribute absorption nullifying skill at the same time. And this character gives it for you for 1 turn and 8 turns. That's insane. The only issue is it's not really a dungeon where you actually need her, because there's not too many dungeons that give you damage absorption and attribute absorption at the same time, except for maybe Pixel Zeus and Pixel Hera. And there's not too many dungeons that also throw out a lot of damage nullification at that fast of a pace. And because her abilities, like her Awakenings and her stats are kind of low, she hasn't found too much of a use. And as for leader skill, it's not too great, but if you don't have characters like Selene, you can use this character instead. Alright, now for the dungeon characters, we have Dayglost. I don't know. For his Awakenings, he doesn't have a bind resistance, but you can add it in the Super Awakenings. His Awakenings aren't too bad, actually, for a DPS character. He has 3 row enhances, and he has 2 50% or less enhances, and he has 2 killers. So it's not terrible as a DPS role. His attack stat is mediocre, and his HP is pretty decent, high, I guess. For his skill would be super strong if he could assist the characters, but you can't because he's not an Egg Machine character. So I don't think you should worry too much about it, and his leader skill is pretty weak. But if you're wondering if you should try to get this character or not, I would say not really. You don't have to really worry too much about him. And for the Monster Exchange character, we have Cherny. For Awakenings, her Awakenings aren't too amazing. And her skill, you're going to need to level up her skill 16 times. And when you do transform, what you get is pretty hot garbage. Well, it's not too bad, but I don't think you're ever going to use this character. Her Awakening, she has 5 Dark Orb enhances. So if you want to boost dark damage, maybe. And for her skill, it's a 2-turn skill that creates 3 orbs or 3 dark orbs. And her leader skill is pretty just garbage. So I wouldn't say you really need to get this character. She's not too good. But yeah. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. As you saw, this Egg Machine is pretty strong. It has a bunch of great leaders, but really more towards experienced players. I don't think the new players are going to be able to form some of these parties. This gotcha is also 10 orbs, so it's a little bit risky to roll, also because you'll get a bunch of duplicates on the bottom. But I do think you should roll this Egg Machine, because even if you get one of the lower ranks, all these lower ranks are really strong, especially Rampade. So I wouldn't mind if I went all in on this Egg Machine. There's also a Monster Exchange for all the 7 stars. So I guess you don't really have to spend them. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Leave a like, hit the subscribe button, ring a bell.